I'm just saying the street is what made me. So that'll never leave me.
So do you think the streets gave you more than you gave that?
Hell no. Hell no. And it never will. The street that take away from you. The street give you pain. The street make you hurt. The street make you cry. Yeah.
You gotta step in my shoes, bank. I gotta get out of jail and rebuild. I gotta get out of jail and rebuild this shit. I can't get out of jail and just hit the ground running. That's what dumb niggas do. That's what a fuck nigga do.
I'm glad that they're linking up. I will say that Thug needs Lucci more than Lucci needs him, but Lucci might look at it as he needs Thug because Lucci's never had that type of fame and publicity. So they're making a song, and again, for all the people who were hired guns, shooters, soldiers, you did X, Y, and Z, you're in jail for like 3 lifetimes over this, you're an idiot, okay? Salute to Thug and Lucci, and I can't wait till they're hugging like long lost brothers on stage performing their music. And for the people who said, damn, how could you forgive Thug after he said blah 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 about your mama's house getting shot up? Well, at the end of the day, from what I know, Thug didn't do any harm to Lucci. Lucci never did no harm to Thug. There was a bunch of crash outs and waste man in the middle. Those people have either gone to heaven or hell or jail. Forget them, and Thug and Lucci are cool.
Alright y'all, today I want to briefly touch on the beef between YFN Lucci, YSL, and 4PF. Since the incident first occurred, more facts have come to light, and the situation is a lot clearer now than it was at the beginning. I say briefly because down the line I plan to do a much deeper video on Atlanta as a whole, really breaking down just how bad things got, especially with the violence surrounding YSL. For now though, I wanted to center this around YFN Lucci and explain just how things escalated so severely in his specific situation. For people outside of Atlanta, it was especially confusing how 4PF got involved and why Lucci ended up shooting at members connected to 4PF instead of YSL, considering the original beef was between YSL and YFN. To understand that, you have to look at where everyone came from and how these connections overlapped. Alright, so YFN Lucci is from Summerhill and had associations with Inglewood Family Bloods, which originated out in California. Lucci's own group was called ABG, short for Atlanta Blood Gang, also known as Anybody Get It? He got his start in music through Big Nut, whose real name is Donovan Thomas Jr. Now before we keep going, because I'm going to be saying his name a lot, I know Big Nut sounds crazy, but just rock with me. Big Nut grew up in the 4th Ward and repped IFG, Inglewood Family Gang. He saw potential in Lucci and helped bring him into the industry pretty much. Big Nut also had ties to just about everyone in the city, including Young Thug, also known as Jeffrey Williams. Young Thug was from Jonesboro Projects and was associated with both SMM, Sex Money Murder, and the Rock Boys, also known as Rock, raised on Cleveland, or what they call Bleveland. Young Thug and his associates would later go on to form YSL. Both Lucci and Thug were from Zone 3 and grew up relatively close to one another, being that they lived by each other, not necessarily they were cool, but this made the fallout between their camps even more complicated and personal. As YSL continued to grow, the Rolling 60s out of California also became affiliated with them, which is where 4PF comes into the picture. You see, 4PF was connected to the Rolling 60s as well, and that relationship played a role in Lil Baby growing closer to several YSL members, including Gunna and Young Thug. Now, if we go back, way back actually, back to 2015, all these sets were actually cool with one another. They were coexisting and interconnected largely through Big Nut, who basically served as a bridge between different camps. Big Nut even introduced YFN Lucci to Rich Homie Quan's manager, Jervon Fly Henry, and for a time, everything was smooth. That began to change though when Rich Homie Quan and Young Thug started working closely together. Their song Lifestyle went platinum, and their mixtape Rich Gang, The Tour Part 1, did major numbers. Now, Birdman heavily pushed the project and wanted to sign both artists to his Rich Gang crew, which shifted alliances and tensions behind the scenes. At some point, though no one knows the exact reason as to why, Young Thug distanced himself from ABG and IFG and began associating with members from 30 Deep. That's where he gained connections with figures like Shannon SB Stillwell and Lil Woody, also known as Kenneth Copeland. It's actually important to note that 30 Deep had long-standing issues with both ABG and IFG. Days before Big Nut's death, his brother Shell Kel and several other IFG members were reportedly at Club Crucial after word spread that Woody had snatched Big Nut's chain. When Shell Kel and these IFG members ran into Woody at the club, it said that they all put hands and possibly feet on Woody, which only further escalated an already volatile situation. On top of all that, Young Thug and Rich Homie Quan also began to fall out, taking shots at each other publicly.
I'ma knock you the fuck out, bro. Get your ass, get your gay ass back, man. Hey, bro, get way back away from me. Back away from me. Get your gay ass from me. I'm saying, bro, I don't fuck with no fucking thing. You back up your ass up, look up over and look like Young Thug. Make sure the fuck on.
Neither side ever fully explained what caused the rift, but there were several factors behind the scenes. Rich Homie Quan's father reportedly had issues with Birdman and did not want his son signing with him, with Big Nut sharing similar concerns, especially due to Young Thug's growing affiliation with 30 Deep. There were also rumors circulating at the time that Big Nut had stolen money from Birdman. Some people claim that this led to Young Thug's sister confronting Big Nut over the money, which allegedly resulted in Big Nut putting hands on her and Young Thug giving the green light on him. However, it's important to be clear, there is no concrete evidence to support these claims, and they all remain unverified rumors. What is confirmed, though, is that Rich Homie Quan's father was the first to be shot, taking 4 gunshot wounds inside his own barbershop in the Castleberry Hills area on McDaniel Street near Northside Drive during what was described as a robbery gone wrong. Only a few months later, Big Nut will also be shot at the same barbershop and was killed on January 11, 2015. Now, a lot of people believe that Young Thug had some involvement in what happened. Lil Woody, now known as YSL Woody, later told a defense attorney that he and Trevante Turner carried out a shooting at the barbershop. He also implicated others, including Shadden SB Stillwell, alleging that SB was one of the individuals who was involved with the 2014 Infiniti Q50 rented by Young Thug that was used in the shooting connected to Big Nut. However, because Woody's statements were so inconsistent and widely viewed as unreliable, it's still not fully known whether he only shot at Rich Homie Quan's father or if he was also involved in the shooting that killed Big Nut, and that uncertainty remains a major point of the dispute. What is known, though, is from that point, YSL and YFN were officially split, and the surrounding gangs were forced to choose sides. 4PF ultimately aligned with YSL, while Rich Homie Quan sided with YFN. Around that same time, in January 2016, YSL was rumored to have been involved in 2 separate shootings at YFN Lucci's mother's house. During the second incident, Lucci's mother and her friend were both shot in the legs. Lucci's child, his brother, and his child's mother were also inside the house, but none of them were injured. However, Lucci said in an interview that his mom actually walked off the shots, driving herself to the hospital, inferring that the shots weren't all that detrimental to her being at all. Later on, Young Thug would seemingly reference the shooting in his song Bad Boy, where he rapped, "I shot at his mommy, now he no longer mentioned me." Yet, as I deep dived in this to see if Lucci even said anything, I couldn't find any evidence that Lucci actually mentioned Young Thug at all, at least publicly, prior to the shooting of Big Nut or his mother. Thug's artist Yak Gotti also made a similar statement in his song Take It to Trial, rapping, "I'll shoot at your mammy," which is a little hilarious, kinda diabolical if you ask me. These lyrics were widely viewed as self-incriminating and further fueled public speculation surrounding the feud. Now that same year, still in 2016, both artists were on the rise musically. Young Thug dropped the Jeffrey album, which featured several standout tracks, while Lucci released his Wish Me Well 2 mixtape, which included the hit Key to the Streets featuring the Migos. For a moment, things appeared to cool off between the two, but that changed on June 2017 when Young Thug released Beautiful Thugger Girls, often abbreviated as EBBTG. And this mixtape, he dropped this on Tupac's birthday, saying he felt like the new Pac. Lucci responded by saying Tupac never wore a dress, and Young Thug fired back with a cryptic message saying, "Thank God you're able to take care of your mother and be humble. Doing too much could become a deep sleep." He then went on live and said he'd slap both Lucci and Sauce Walker.
Man, of course I'm got Lucci and I'm slapping. I'm slapping the hell out y'all little nigga, man. Stop playing with me. They play because they know what time it is. Like, so people play with me. Just really tell me, like, confirm that y'all don't know what time it is.
And then right after that, Lucci would respond shortly after on his own Instagram live, brushing off the threat and saying he ain't gonna slap nobody.
Hey, man. Y'all stop tagging me that, man. Slap nobody. Yeah, man. All that punching back, banging, slap down. All his little friend, he want to make cool with them. He got niggas who wanna go link with. He punt their
Punch
You got that nigga. Come on, man. That man a hoe, man. That nigga been running out the mall, boy. You a hoe.
Yeah, punching
Man,
bag.
you don't never put Instagram drop that shit, do it.
He then tagged Thug's fiance at the time, Jerica, writing, "Your husband ain't nothing." Young Thug escalated things further in subsequent posts, saying he would indeed slap the shit out of Lucci as soon as he saw him. And stuff ain't even really got crazy yet. See, after this, the public would truly see how deep the beef ran in 2018 when YFN members were caught chasing down and shooting at a YSL Rolling 60s member named Lil Duke outside Magic City. Lil Duke barely escaped with his life, and this for sure made it clear that the conflict had escalated far beyond music. Now after that, things kind of simmered down a little bit. Thug and Lucci continued to trade shots online, and the tension spilled into real life again on May 9, 2019, when YFN Lucci's G-Wagon was shot up. Lucci wasn't in the vehicle at the time, his friends were driving it, but one of them was hit twice during the shooting. However, it wasn't fatal. Not long after, Big Nut's gravesite was vandalized and spray painted with the word slat, a term closely associated with Young Thug and YSL. You see, the timing of the incident only added fuel to the ongoing drama centered around the two. In August 2019, Young Thug released his debut studio album, So Much Fun. Lucci was quick to respond, calling it a cap-ass album. But we all know Thug wasn't having that. He said, "If I ain't like what you did for your mother and kids, I would have been killed you." And I just gotta say, that's a bizarre thing to say to somebody online. Man, the self-incrimination. But fuck it. Lucci would then escalate things by pretty much saying he slept with Jerica, once again pulling Thug's fiance into the beef. And this time Lucci also came with receipts. He had screenshots. He was prepared to support his allegations. Though Jerica publicly denied it on Twitter, Young Thug attempted to downplay the situation, but Lucci took it even further by posting a photo of Young Thug's daughter, wishing her a happy birthday with the hashtag #LongLiveNut at the bottom. After that, Thug largely dismissed Lucci altogether, choosing not to publicly engage any further. Now, this is where shit gets crazy. If you thought it was already crazy, that was nothing. Now let's move forward to December 2020. Lucci was gifted a brand new 2021 Maybach SUV by his now label boss Javon Fly Henry, who became the CEO of Think It's a Game Records over time. The Maybach was actually given to Lucci to celebrate the release of Wish Me Well 3, and also during this time, it was widely speculated to be the very first 2021 Maybach SUV to ever even enter the United States, a vehicle valued at over $200,000. However, within the first 24 hours of receiving it, Lucci thought it would be a great idea, matter of fact, stellar, to go and take this Maybach out on a drive-by.
Bro, you're on TMZ for getting this car today. Let's not bring this car. Let's bring like the hoopty with the swapped out license plate with no license plate actually. Let's go in that car. Nah, fuck that. Nigga, chat. This is what I call a test drive. You feel what I'm saying? This is what I call a test drive. Drive through your ops neighborhood and shoot at these niggas. 2 hours after the nigga get the first Maybach in the country, he's in a shootout. Ain't this a bitch?
Man, oh man. So to break this down, what happened, Lucci allegedly met up with some shooters he was acquainting with from Florida, Blood members from 13th Ave, also known as the Bloodhounds, to carry out a shooting in Atlanta. Those involved included CP3, real name Rayvon Boyd, and Liddy, real name Leroy Pitts, as well as James Adams, who was reportedly recording the entire incident on his phone. And yes, things definitely got worse. While the intended target was unclear, the shooting resulted in 4PF member Mohawk, also known as Kevin Wright, being shot in the stomach as he returned fire. Another individual, 4PF Nate, real name Nathan Bedford, was involved as well, and both of these guys were also affiliated with YSL. And during this horrific exchange, James Adams was shot in the head. Unfortunately. Afterwards, he was manually ejected from the vehicle and later died from his injuries at Grady Memorial Hospital. However, because of what was found in his phone, investigators were blessed with key evidence pertaining to the entire incident. This footage played a major role in the case and ultimately led to YFN Lucci having to turn himself in. The two others involved managed to flee to Miami, where they were later arrested and extradited back to Georgia, with the case moving toward trial in 2021. At this point, Lucci was facing a massive 105-count RICO indictment that included charges for murder, racketeering, and gang activity, all stemming from the December 2020 drive-by shooting and other alleged gang-related acts. In January 2024, Lucci accepted a plea deal along with the 2 other individuals involved in the shooting. Lucci himself pled guilty to a single gang-related charge and was sentenced to 10 years in prison, followed by 10 years of probation, with eligibility for parole after serving a portion of the sentence. While incarcerated, Lucci claimed there was a hit put out on his head. Now, according to sources closest to Lucci, 2 YSL members, Christian Eppinger, also known as Big Briss, and Antonio Sumlin, allegedly received permission from Young Thug to move forward with killing Lucci, with an additional YSL affiliate known as J-Main ultimately carrying out the stabbing attempt. Lucci was later asked to testify against Young Thug during the YSL trial, but he declined to do so, and ultimately the judge credited him with time served, reducing his 10-year prison sentence after he had served just over 3 years. During sentencing, Lucci actually apologized to the family of James Adam for his role in the drive-by shooting mentioned earlier.
I want to say my heart goes out to my friend James Adam and his family. Also, I want to apologize to my family and my friends for putting them through this stressful process. And I would also like to apologize to the court. And that's it.
Nearly 4 years after his initial arrest, Lucci was released in January 2025 under very strict conditions, which is absolutely a win for me. Bruh got 20 years reduced to 10 years, and out of that 10 years, he got out in less than 4. I mean, shout to him. I don't think anybody else could have been able to do anything like that, you know? But we're not done yet. See, after Lucci and Young Thug got free, they would actually shock a lot of people by officially squashing their beef. Following their release from jail, Lucci appeared on Thug's album, and Thug returned the favor by appearing on Lucci's project. And this shit kind of stirred the pot a little bit. This move caused a major uproar in the hip-hop community, especially considering how many others remained incarcerated as a result of the war that started between these two. A lot of blood was shed, lives were lost, and the question remains, for what? I'll leave it up to you to decide whether them making peace in the end was the right move, or if they should have stayed committed to a feud that turned deadly. So at this point, to kind of try and end things off on a more positive note, both men are free, they live in their lives, and they have found a way to coexist, at least publicly, while attempting to ease tensions across Atlanta as a whole. And that pretty much wraps up the video. If you have any comments, thoughts, or questions, drop them down below. Like and subscribe, and thank you for taking the time out to watch this video, man.